Guys, today I wanted to talk about two states that I think are very important for the 2020 presidential election, these being the states of North Carolina and Georgia. I think that these two states are definitely going to be in play for 2020. You might have not expected them to be in, at this point in 2016, but in 2020, I think that definitely these two states are going to be two very crucial states who will determine the outcome of this election. And this is basically just continuing my state-by-state series where I talk about some of the more important states. I've talked about Texas in the past. I've talked about Florida, the Rust Belt, as well as basically all of the Sun Belt I've talked about in the past. Last time I talked about Iowa and Ohio, and today I want to talk about North Carolina and Georgia. So also I wanted to just thank you guys all for the immense support you guys have given me. We just earned 76 subscribers yesterday. I'm really thankful for all of you who have subscribed and have helped this channel grow. So if you're not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I'm hoping we can hit 500 subscribers soon. I just really appreciate all of the support. And in the month of September, I'm going to try to do 2 videos every day, so make sure you comment below whether or not you would like that. I will try to get 2 videos out every day as best as I can in the month of September, but we'll see. I will try to do my best to do that. And today I just wanted to talk about North Carolina and Georgia and just go in depth on their voting history as well as their polling data and just a lot of information about these two states that you should know about when, talking about these two states and which, either they will go to Trump or Biden. Honestly, I think that these two states are pretty much toss-up states right now. However, I do think that they do lean a little bit towards the Trump column just because they have gone to him in 2016. So looking at how important these states are, basically this is the 2016 electoral map. Trump won North Carolina and Georgia. If Joe Biden were to win all of the Clinton states and North Carolina and Georgia, he would get 263 electoral votes. This means he can literally win any other state, basically any other state that he has a chance in. So Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. If he just wins any of them, let's say he wins Wisconsin, he will win the election. So that is just, these states can really definitely swing in the election in one way or another, but I really don't think that these states are going to do so. I don't think that these are going to be the tipping point states, but for Trump, these states are very important for him. If he loses this state, then I think that a lot of these Rust Belt states are going to go to Biden as well. So he has to hold on to this state. I think that if he loses North Carolina and Georgia, he's not going to win the election, and at this point, I don't think he's going to win these two states. However, I think that honestly, I think that he does have a little bit better of a chance at winning, but on the just considering the trajectory we're going to right now, I think based on that, Trump is not going to carry these two states in November. Georgia maybe, but North Carolina, I don't think so. So looking at the polling data from Georgia, Trump leads by 0.8% in a state that he won by 5% in 2016. And looking at this, Biden actually was leading the state for over a month at one point in late June and early July. Since then, his lead has shrunk a little bit. He did lead in early August, but now he's down 0.8 points. Honestly, he does not need this state. He led by 3 polls in a row. But really, he does not need this state. This state is not important to him. He does not need a campaign here. It would really boost his electoral college victory if he were to win. But really, I don't think that this state is too important for him. But for Trump, definitely, this is a very important state, the state of Georgia. And then looking at the state of North Carolina, Biden actually leads here by 1.4%. Biden has been leading in a state that Trump won in 2016 since April. I think that's just very surprising. Actually, no, if you look at this graph, Trump has never led in the state of North Carolina. He's led in states like Arizona, which are, even more far gone for Trump than North Carolina right now. But in a state like North Carolina, Trump has never led in this state since, polling basically began when Biden became the presumptive nominee after he won South Carolina on the 27th or 28th of March. February. It's just such a long time ago. But Biden has been leading basically throughout the entire graph. Ever since March, Trump has never led in the state of North Carolina. Looking at the polls here, Biden leads in basically all of them. He's tied in one, and Trump leads in one. But most of them you'll see if you look down. But if you go to this 538 and look at it for yourself, you're going to see that Biden leads in most polls that have been conducted out of the state of North Carolina. This is a state that he doesn't even need. This is a state that Barack Obama did win in 2008. A lot of people pointed that out from my last video, and I apologize for that. But Barack Obama did win it in 2008 by a very narrow margin. He lost it in 2012. And Hillary Clinton, of course, lost it again in 2016. But 2020, I think that with basically all of the South just moving a little bit more to the left and with Trump's unpopularity at the moment, I think definitely Biden has a very good chance at winning the state of North Carolina. And next, I just want to take a look at the electoral history of these two states. So on 270 to win, they currently give the state of Georgia as a toss-up state in the election. And looking at this graph here, as you can see, the Republicans have not been gaining on their margins in the state. Trump won 50.8% of the vote, Romney won 53%, McCain even won 52%, and then Bush won 54 and 58% in 2000 and 2004 respectively. But if you look at the basic trend of this graph, it is going downwards for the Republicans, and the Democrats are improving quite a bit here, I guess. But of course, 2016 Hillary Clinton was not a good candidate, which is why she did not do so well. And looking at the electoral history here even further, this is something that we'll see with North Carolina as well. This was a very strong Democratic state. Basically, Democrats might have been a more conservative party in the past, but it was a Democratic state. And really, the year that it really flipped, it was, if you look at it, it's going to be 1964. This is after LBJ passed the Civil Rights Act, which really swayed basically the entire South. If you look at past electoral vote history, basically the South was all blue. And so if you look at this, of course, in 1964, that's not blue anymore because of the Civil Rights Act that Johnson signed into law in 1963, I believe, after Kennedy died. But it was basically him that led these states, and they, of course, voted for George Wallace, who they thought would, he was a little more of a radical, very right-leaning politician, which is, makes sense because he did win quite a few states in the South, and then after that Nixon won it. But Jimmy Carter, being a Southerner, he was and being a Democrat, he was able to win the South back temporarily, and then of course in 1976 and 1980, and then in 1992 Clinton won the state. He did very well. Of course, it was because George H.W. Bush was not doing too well in 1992. He did raise taxes after explicitly saying he would not, and then after that it's been pretty solid, I guess, not too solid, but pretty good Republican victories after this. And then 2020, I think definitely Biden does have a chance of making it blue once again. And then looking at the voting history of North Carolina, if you look at this, basically same thing. Bush won it by quite a large margin. Mitt Romney and John McCain won it, of course, by less, and then Trump won it by around the same. This time he didn't even win a majority, he won a plurality of the votes in the state of North Carolina in 2016. And looking at the graph for North Carolina here, same thing. As you can see, 1964 did go to Johnson, but after that, of course, it did not. You had one protest vote for George Wallace in 1968, but after this, it was basically all blue, with the exception of 2012. Obama was able to very narrowly beat John McCain in the state, as well as 1976. Of course, Carter, this was him winning his first term, and of course, he won by a pretty large margin, and he was able to flip the South for the Democrats, and that was really the last time the Democrats really controlled the South. And I think that definitely the South is moving to the left at this point. I think the South is moving to the left, with basically the entire Sun Belt just moving to the left, as I talked about in a prior video. And then the Rust Belt, I think, is moving to the right. But in 2020, I don't think it's going to be too large of a change from 2016. But definitely, I think that North Carolina is going to be much stronger for Joe Biden than it was for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I think he can definitely do what Obama did in 2008 and flip the state. I think he'll win it by a very small margin at this point, but definitely I think that it is within Biden's reach, and he should definitely try to carry the state of North Carolina. Georgia, not so much. Georgia's really not important to him, and I think he has a smaller chance of winning that state, but North Carolina definitely is in play for Joe Biden. Looking back at our electoral map here, Georgia 15-16 electoral votes and are very likely to increase. I think that in 2024 and 2028, after the 2020 census, they are all expected to gain electoral votes, and I think that this is definitely going to benefit the Democrats with the populations of their states that are moving towards the left growing. I don't think the Rust Belt, these states are really not expected to gain too many electoral votes because, the Rust Belt is losing people. That's why it's called the Rust Belt. But yeah, I think that this is good for the Democrats right now. So North Carolina and Georgia, if they were to go to Biden can basically win any other state. Let's say Wisconsin, he wins the election and Donald Trump loses. So I think that these states aren't going to be the tipping point states, and I don't think that these states are going to bring Biden over 270, but definitely I think they're going to be a very strong indicator of how the election is going to sway on election night if these states are called early. And so if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I would really appreciate that. Please also leave a like on this if you have enjoyed it. Comment down your thoughts below in the comment section below, as well as any video suggestions you'd like to see from me in the future. And of course, I'd like to thank you guys all again for the massive amount of support you've given me after yesterday's video. And I hope that we can reach 500 subscribers very soon. And that is it for today. I will see you in the next video.